So, hello class. Good morning. Good morning once again. So let's start our class. Hello. Can we commence the lecture now?
Yes, good
Yes,
morning,
we
sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. You can continue, sir.
Continue, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Our topic of today is environmental analysis and Potter's Diamonds theory. So, meaning that we are looking at two topics. So, the first one talks about the analysis, critical analysis of the business environment where corporate organization operates. The reason why it is important, all the environmental forces operating in a business environment, we are going to discuss on them. And the effect of these environmental forces will equally be discussed. Aside that, the syllabus required that the business environment should be classified into majorly two. That is the internal and the external business environment. And we must have an in-depth understanding and knowledge of these environmental forces, because we are going to be tested on them in the exam. Aside that, how can we analyze the external business environment? It's part of the thing that the syllabus required. So we are going to do justice to that. The moment we are through with that, we move to the second topic, which is the Potter's Diamonds theory, that we use to explain the reason why a nation or some companies gain local and international competitive advantage and they're able to sustain it. Okay, to start with, let's start with the nature of environmental analysis. So, by nature of environmental analysis, we should know that a business entity, that is an organization, cannot exist in isolation from its environment. So the meaning of that is that all organizations that have been duly registered and have become an artificial entity by virtue of our legal status interact with its immediate environment for opportunities, for customers, for market growth, for market share, profitability, survival, relevance, and competitiveness. So all organizations always interact with their environment. Please, you can mute, please. So organizations interact with their environment. They cannot work in isolation of it. Any company that works in isolation of its environment, such a company will cease to exist. They are going to experience premature death, because it is in this environment that we have various opportunities that we need to achieve our predetermined goals and objectives. So the reason why we say companies cannot work in isolation. In some instances, you see some scholars that will tell you that an organization cannot work in a vacuum and achieve all their predetermined goals and objectives. So company must interact. So to further buttress this point, company interacts with its environment, and its survival and strategic success depends on how well it responds to the threats and opportunities that the environment provides. So you can see that it is very germane for companies to interact with their environment, because it is this environment that will determine their survival, growth, performance, success. Why? Because the business environment comprises of both opportunities and threats. Any company that puts in place a strategic approach and they are able to embark on constant environmental scanning they will identify a lot of opportunities that they can exploit going forward. So that such company will have significant positive improvement in terms of performance, return on investment, return on assets, competitiveness, and the rest. And any challenges that comes in, they'll be able to adapt or overcome those challenges due to interaction and scanning of the business environment. But those companies that fail to identify opportunity in the business environment, they are not being proactive. There is no measure put in place to cushion against environmental uncertainties or challenges. Such a company are bound to fail. In fact, majority of such company, they always experience what we call static or declining growth. So interaction with our business environment is key for achieving success. Also, an entity environment is anything that is not part of the entity itself. You can see the graphics of that statement, that an entity environment is anything that is not part of the entity itself. That means all other factors that revolve around the company in its business environment, they are what we call anything, ranging from the supplier, the customers, the distributors, the competitors, the government, the host community. They are the other factors that surround the company and which determine the success, growth, and failure of the company. So for a business organization, the environment includes the customers, the potential customers. Why? Because we have the customers referring to the existing customers that have purchased, used our product before. But the potential customers are the would-be customers that we call prospective customers that are yet to buy our products. These are the categories of customers that we target anytime we are doing our sales canvassing, so that we can be able to convince them to make a trial purchase and turn them to our regular customers. So the environment also includes the various markets in different geographical locations. Also, our competitors too, both local and international, that we operate in the same industry, they are part of the environment, including the suppliers, the government, and other potential sources of new employees. We should know again that the environmental analysis refers to the critical analysis or studying, the studying of the environment in which the companies operate. The essence of this critical analysis and the study of the business environment where we operate is for us to be able to identify the areas of turbulence, for us to be able to identify numerous opportunities that we can exploit, for us to be able to identify the government policy, which is equally dynamic, for us to be able to identify who are the customers, what do they buy, what are the factors influencing their buying decisions, and for us to be able to identify other marketing intermediaries and many more. These are part of the reason why we said environmental analysis is a process of studying the environment in which an entity operates and identifying significant factors in the environment, particularly those that will be significant both in the present and in the future. The business environment comprises of numerous forces. Some are controllable, some are uncontrollable. Among the numerous business environmental forces that are external to the company are the social forces, If you call it a social factor, you are right. The examiner will not penalize you. The social forces or factor, political forces, and the economic environment. That is the economic forces in which the company operates. So these three that we mentioned, they are part of the uncontrollable forces in the macro environment. That is external environment. So we are still going to discuss on them comprehensively as the lecture proceeds. So the environmental influences on an organization varies. Yes, a lot of companies experience minimal impact of the environment. Some experience major impact of the environment. Some, the environmental turbulence or challenges threats the continuous existence of the company. Some, they are still enduring sustainable growth, market relevance, while some, they are experiencing a lot of challenges that is bringing retrogressing performance in terms of sales, in terms of profit, in terms of loss of customers, and loss of major markets to other competitors. And equally, the environmental influences on the organization varies because some, the government policy favor them, some, the government policy is unfavorable to them. So the very reason why you see that statement that the environmental influences on organization varies with the size of the organization, the industry where they operate, the country where they operate, the government policy, and other uncontrollable challenges. So why the study of the business environment, why it is important? The importance of the environmental factors for strategic management arises because of this. One, it is important for us to analyze the environmental factors to engage in constant environmental scanning, to engage in quick environmental scanning, all because organizations operate within their environment and must interact with it for success and achievement of goals and objectives in the short run, medium time, and their long time goals. Without the interaction with the environment, all these goals will be difficult to be achieved, and very possible we might not even achieve some of them. We study business environment because of the changes in the environment can be large and significant and continually happen. So that can be paraphrased to mean that the study of business environment is very important because of its effect on our operational and strategic plans, because of its effect on the achievement of goals. And you can see that continually happens, mean that because of the dynamism of the business environment, the business environmental happenings, challenges, and what have you changes within seconds. The factor that is favorable now might be unfavorable tomorrow. And at the same time, the reason why it is very important to study the business environmental factor is because of the future changes that might be difficult to predict. Today, probably in the market, dollar is 1,500 to $1, and naira is 1,500 to $1. Within seconds, it can change. It can increase, it can decrease. So the business environment where we operate is full of uncertainties. So some of the characteristics of the business environment, you can quickly put it down, jot it down, is that the business environment can be static. And that shows the reflection of the market, the purchasing power of the customers, and the economic situation. Just like what Nigeria is experiencing now. So business environment, one of the distinctive characteristics of the business environment is that business environment can be static, it can be stable, it can be unstable. Characteristics of business environment: static, it can be stable, it can be unstable, it can be turbulent because it's full of myriad of challenges and threats. It can be turbulent, it can be complex. So these are some of the characteristics of a business environment, and it is equally dynamic. It changes. So what is the purpose of environmental analysis? So we have said about three purposes why we do business environmental analysis. But in order to add more to what we have said, one of the major purposes of environmental analysis is to assess the strategic position of the company. The reason why I put it there that the environmental analysis is part of the process of assessing strategic position. And by that strategic position, this scholar informs us that it's very essential that the company should ensure that they put in place the three elements of strategic management that was formulated by Johnson and Scholes. And at the same time, Michael Porter equally informs us that companies should always be looking at their competitive strategic positions in the market. In any industry where we operate, there are four competitive strategic positions that company can fall into. That position, you can sustain it for a very long time depending on how aggressive we are in terms of response to environmental challenges, response to competitors' challenges, response to the government actions and legislations and many more. So the strategic positions that we have are four. We have one, market leader position. Market leader position. That from the market leaders might be two, they might be three. So the strategic position, the first one is challenger position. Why the last one is market niche. Market niche, NICHE. And some scholars call it position number. Market follower position, that is the third position. And the last position is market niche or market niche position. So looking at the example that we use in the telecommunication industry, the market leader is the MTN, market challenger, Airtel, market followers, Globalcom, while market niche is Nine Mobile. These positions are being determined. The criteria we use is the financial strength of the company, the rate of expansion, geographical coverage, the customer base, their market share, the uh, the advertising expenditure, and many more. These are the factors that we use. So doing our environmental analysis, it will be very easy for us to know the position we have. How can we improve on this position? If we are among the market leader, how can we sustain this? What are the sustainability strategies that we can put in place and innovation to ensure that you don't slip or decline in this position for our competitors? So a lot of companies in the past have mismanaged these positions. Even when you look at this, the manufacturing industry, the likes of this brand, um, McLean. Even when we are small, you can recall when they tell you, okay, come and brush, come and brush. The first thing you say that, oh yeah, lelemu McLean mi wa. You don't even know they call it toothpaste. It was just McLean, McLean, McLean everywhere. So over time, the company stopped being aggressive in the market because of complacence that they are the market leader. They fail to advertise. Most of their products at times are experience scarcity in some parts of the market. And before you know it, you have the light of close up that came out of nowhere and bypassed them and occupied that position. So ever since close up emerged as the market leader at that time, so many companies now produce similar and competing products that are introduced into the market that you and I know. So many, up to all these newly introduced baby in the industry, the likes of My toothpaste, Olive toothpaste, we have Pepsodent and the rest. So it helps us to know our strategic position. Secondly, the purpose is for us to know the significant effect of all the forces in the business environment. What are their effect on what we do? If they don't have any negative effect now, if the effect is positive, what are the likelihood of having negative effects in the future? Thirdly, environmental analysis is engaged on because of key drivers of changes. All these environmental forces that occur internally and externally, they are the drivers of change. They always force company to take some drastic decisions, changes in policy, changes in procedures, changes in operational practice, and many more. So environmental forces are catalysts for change. So without responding or adapting to their challenges, then it will be difficult for the company to survive or succeed. So another purpose why the study of environmental forces is very important is that the difference in impacts that the key drivers of change in the environment we have on different industry or different markets. So because of the differences, diverse effects that can be positive or negative that they have, that's the more reason why we have to study the business environment at all time, both local business environment and for those companies that operate offshore, they have to ensure that they study the environment where they operate in the international domain. Because even in the international domain, we have the challenges of multilingual, we have the challenges of differences in the political ideology and government policy there. So we can't act without paying attention to the business environment. So we proceed by looking at the types of environmental forces. What are the types of the business environmental forces? Basically, there are two main types of business environmental forces. Two main types of business environmental forces. We have one, internal forces, and two, external forces. Internal forces and external forces. So we are going to look at this one by one. The internal forces, we cite examples of those internal forces. There are things that we know. But in the external business environment, ICAN required that when we are explaining this place, we should explain the external business environment using model. And they said the model they are expecting us to know is pestle model. Ideally, we have a lot of models that we can use to explain the external business environment, like GPS, BIPS, SLEP factors, SLEP-DC factors, and many more. But the more I can constrain us to use pestle as an example. And sincerely, Not the previous exam that ICAN have asked on business environment, be it in this course and some other course, including case studies and the rest. They have uh, ensured that pestle analysis is being required for the students to use. So that's the more reason why I don't use any multiple model or framework to analyze the external business environment under this particular study material that we have. So we are still going to use the pestle analysis. So let's look at these two types of business environments one by one. The first one, the internal business environment, that is the internal environmental forces or factors. First thing that you have to know is that in exam condition, ICAN can use this word like that. Internal business environment, or they can use the alternative name that we call it. And that's the reason why I put the alternative name first. That the internal business environment is also called controllable environment. The another name for internal business environment is controllable environment or micro environment. MICRO. Internal forces, controllable forces, micro forces. Be it we call it internal, controllable, or micro forces. What happened? These forces occur within the organization and pose many challenges capable of hindering the achievement of the goals and objectives of the company. So the internal forces are also called controllable or micro forces. They are the environmental forces that occur inside the company. And despite the fact that they occur inside the company, they create a lot of challenges. And if the company board of directors, the shareholders, and other strategic apex ignore their challenges, it can cause internal disequilibrium and difficulties in achieving our goals. It can cause derail in focus. As a result of that, the company must attend to any internal challenges that come from whatever sources within the company. Why do we call them controllable forces? I've justified that for you. The forces are controllable because they occur within the organization. Since there are internal challenges, internal problems, they are controllable. The company can manipulate them, we can maneuver them. We can quickly call emergent meeting or just appoint about 2, 3, 4 functional managers to be part of a committee to look into the problem. So all those challenges are controllable if not neglected. So the examples of the controllable forces are the objective of the company. That means one of the areas where challenges can come internally is from the objective of the company. Why? The set objective of the company can cause internal turbulence if the objective is not set within the framework of SMART. That means if the objective is not specific, it is not measurable, the objective is not attainable, difficult to attain, the objective is not realistic, and is not time bound, then such objective cause crisis and tension within the organization. Another element of the internal forces is the employees. The challenges can come from the employees. Probably they are demanding for improvement in the working condition. They are demanding for staff motivation, reward and compensation package. Maybe they are demanding for retirement benefit, which the company did not put in place, or the one they have is not enriched. Or they are demanding for job security. Whatever their demands, if the management did not yield to the yearnings and demands of these employees, they can cause crisis. They can threaten the company through strike. Through their trade union, they can cause internal instability Also, the shareholders too, their expectations have to be met. They are the owners of the company that found, finance, and manage the company. They are the employers of the employees. So their interests and their worth should be maximized. Failure to this will cause internal crisis, including the internal stakeholders too. So these are typical examples of internal business environmental forces. Are the external business environment. Uncontrollable macro forces, meaning that another name for the external business environment is uncontrollable environment, or we call them macro forces. We call them macro forces because they are more complex and highly difficult to manipulate, unlike the micro that fall under the internal. So they are highly uncontrollable and relatively dynamic and complex. This environment that you are seeing, we call them external, all because they occur outside the organization. And just like internal forces, they create many challenges that is capable of declining the achievements of goals and objectives of the company. So examples of the internal forces example of the external business environmental forces are political forces, economic forces, and demographic forces, just to mention a few. The external business environment can be analyzed by using the PESTEL analysis or model that I inform you that ICAN specifically state that we should know, and Porter's Diamond story. And the reason why I combine the two topics today, that's going to be our focus for today. So let's look at the models of environmental analysis. Under the model of environmental analysis, I want to reiterate here and re-emphasize that you might be required to use any model of your choice. Alternatively, you might be asked specifically to use pestle analysis or Porter's Diamond story. So I advise us that under the external business analysis, we stick to these two. So the pestle model is used to identify the significant forces or factors in the macro environment of a company. Why the Porter's Diamonds model is used to analyze the reasons why entities in particular countries or regions within a country appear to have a significant competitive advantage over other countries or companies. So never mind, I'm going to do justice to this. I will bring it down for you just like A for ample and B for ball. Okay, let's look at the pestle analysis. The pestle analysis now. A pestle analysis or pestle analysis. You know the reason why I do that? Exam can be funny. At times it can be typographical error or oversight. Maybe the examiner, they have reviewed the question, they have checked it, internal committee, all the APS in ICAN and what have you. The intent writing pestle, but typographical error, they put it as pestle. And we have some authors too in their book or some of the people that write the question, in a way maybe they want to paraphrase or what have you, some can bring L before E and make it to be pestle. And if you have it, E come before L, we pronounce it as pestle. So that when you see pestle and pestle in exam, you will know that they are the same thing. It's not nothing to worry about, because it can destabilize some students. That no, in the course of our lecture, no, Mr. Ali, it was pestle that Mr. Ali call it for. What is pestle? Pestle, pestle. It will cause confusion. Be it the write it as pestle or pestle is the same thing. And you can see the alphabet are the same. It's the elements in the alphabet that we need for our explanation. So a pestle analysis or pestle analysis is the same thing. Formally, we call it pest analysis, that comprises of PEST. So the extension of it, they added another two alphabets, L and L. That L means legal and E means environmental or ecological factors. So this pestle analysis or pestle, they are the tools, model that we use to explain the external environmental forces in order for us to be able to know the factors affecting our company. So the pestle forces are these: P for political, E for economic forces, S for social forces. And if you want to make your own S to be socio-cultural forces, is allowed. Nobody will penalize you. T means technology or technological factors. The E, you can call it environmental factors, you can call it ecological factors. You are right. While the L in pestle means legal factors. Now we are going to look at them one by one. So the first alphabet is P, which stands for political factors or forces. So what these ones indicate is that in a business environment where companies operate, the company cannot operate in any business environment, be it local or international, without knowing and complying with the government policy, the government regulations, and without knowing the do's and don'ts in the industry or market where you are operating. So the political forces in a business environment advise organization to react to the attitude of the political party that is in the power. So recently now in Nigeria, the political party in power is APC. So as a result of that, there are a lot of ideology that will come from this party that they will sell to the president to better the socio-economic and political viability of the nation. So as government is rolling out all this policy, some might be friendly, some might be unfriendly. The duty of a company is for that company to be able to adapt and ensure compliance to all the political forces or challenges that might occur. Any changes in the government fiscal and monetary policy may have some significant impact on the company. We digest it. The board of directors will look into it. The shareholders will be engaged and the rest. We can have some experts within and outside to look at it. And we put in place how we can achieve our results. With total compliance. Stable political legislation is part of it. And above all, the political influence will include legislation on trading, price, dividends, tax that the governments have removed palliative on petroleum subsidy. Over time, we heard that secretly they are paying the subsidy. Some couple of months, the government came out to that there's possibility that they will reverse the decision and continue to pay palliative. So it's highly unpredictable. So your duty as a corporate entity is to ensure that you scan the environment. You must be keep abreast of all the political policy of the government and other factors that is associated with it. Economic factors. The economic factors is one of the major external factors that affect and threat the continuous existence of the company. Because the current state of the economy can affect how a company perform. A lot of multinational companies, we must be factual, left Nigeria. A lot of multinational companies. A lot of indigenous companies has folded up due to inability to cope with the economy challenges. Presently now, Nigeria, we can say we are experiencing, before it was galloping, now hyperinflation. This hyperinflation is affecting the buying behavior and purchasing power of the customers and consumers. It's affecting the liquidity of corporate organization. It's affecting the operational expenses of the company because it keeps increasing on a daily basis. And it's affecting their returns. So the rate of growth in the economy will be a major determinant of the company performance, the customer's patronage, and it will go a long way to determine the invisible hands, that is the forces of supply and demand. So all the economic indicators or indices that affect business performance, you must state it, give examples. So typical examples of the economic forces or influence includes the following: the economic indicators, tax level, tax level, inflation rate, the balance of trade and exchange rates, level of employment. These are the examples of economic forces now. The interest rate, which keeps increasing. Interest rate and availability of credits. Government subsidy, the foreign exchange rate, this one is volatile and highly unpredictable. It's causing nightmare for companies because it's increasing at will. So part of the economic forces is supply of money. Supply of money is there, and many other factors that affect the performance of the company. And all these things, when you look at it, they are highly uncontrollable. And the reason why the company must put in place a very strategic and flexible approach to quickly adapt to their challenges. The social factor of forces. Of what importance is the social environmental factors of forces? It is important because the organization is also influenced by changes in the nature, habits, and attitude of the society, that is the citizen. The socio-cultural factors are uncontrollable. The very reason why you see anytime companies are doing sales canvassing or they run an advert, all those adverts are meant to appeal to both the actual and potential customers because we can't impose it on them and we cannot use a pressure sales like all these peddler untrained marketers. The sociocultural forces have remarkable impact on the company performance and success. And as a result of that, we must not neglect it. We have to look at the factors that influence the habit, perceptions, buying behavior of the customers. Because all these things are the major determinants of what the society buy, what the customers buy or not. And we must factor all these factors in anytime we are rolling out our product or services that we want to render to our target customers. So the sociocultural factors comprises of the following elements: the lifestyle of the customers, that is changing values and lifestyle of the customers. We don't have control over this. And the lifestyle of the customers determine their purchasing habits. It determines brand acceptability. Another element is the changes in values and beliefs of the customers, followed by changing pattern of work and lectures, particularly for the customers that their salary is a little bit robust or they have a high status, maybe middle class or the upper class. Their own perceptions, the buying behavior and what have you, is different from the low income earners. And the same is with all these major dealers that companies are dealing with. So the demographic changes too have to be considered, and most importantly, culture and religion. Culture and religion are uncontrollable, and they are the major determinant of sociocultural factors that influence the attitude of the customers towards the patronage of our products. Culture and religion determine the consumption pattern of the customers too. So apart from the sociocultural factor, we must lay emphasis on the technological factors too, and let the examiners know that technology has revolutionized business activities across the globe. Technology has increased intense competition. And for those companies that are not proactive, strategic enough, those companies that did not study their business environment, those companies that did not invest in research and development and innovation, technology have made their assets to become obsolete. A lot of companies, that technology that they are proud for in the past has become outdated. So going forward, to achieve that sustainable growth, enhance performance, the companies must invest heavily in technology, because the technology that we are talking about, technology brings changes that can influence the following in the organization. Technology brings changes in the production techniques. Technology determines the types of products that are made and sold. Technology determines how our services are provided. You can even see a lot of companies are investing in AI now, AI, robots, and many more. It's as a result of advancements in technology. And for them to be able to meet their competitors apart. What did I mean by meeting competitors apart? They want to compete with our competitors. Because if our competitors have invested in that line of business and we fail to do that, then automatically we are losing customers to them. If that trend continues that we don't invest in technology, we will lose that market and leave the industry for them. And you know, in the part of the globe we have, the developing nation, being in developing nation is not a cause, but the problem boils on the leadership crisis that we have. Because in Nigeria, for instance, it is now that the government is now taking initiative to minimize our undue reliance on crude oil and gas resources to invest in technology. Because we discovered that we are a consuming nation. We consume virtually everything. That consumption means we import virtually everything. Toothpick, matches, cotton board, all these things, they are things that we can produce locally. So the level of technology, that is where I'm going, in Nigeria is at low ebb. Our level of technology is low. And the reason why we are seeing that a lot of industry now, the banking industry and many more, they rely on borrowed technology. They invest heavily in ICT areas and many more. And some of the serial entrepreneurs that we have, they have private uh, investments. Because without technology, there is no way company can grow, not to talk of competing. So the very reason why we are appealing to governments to at least invest more in technology and to bring a sort of tax relief so that company can be able to retain part of their earnings to expand and invest heavily in technological innovation. Because we are behind when we talk of technology, when we compare ourselves to other developing countries and that of our global companies, we are still behind. And there are a lot of strategy that the country can use to enhance this our technology. You can even see the likes of Rwanda that fought war not quite long. They are really doing well. So we pray our leaders will look into these areas. So the another alphabet under the person is environmental factors. Environmental factors. So these environmental factors is very, very important because government too now is clamoring for environmental sustainability. Across the whole world, government is striving towards reducing carbon emission, protection of the ecosystem, and they are now encouraging companies to embrace green manufacturing, green tourism, in order to ensure safety of lives of the populace. So the environmental factors has a landmark effect on the availability of the raw materials that we use, that we process in producing finished product to our customers. Part of the environmental factors is the need for companies to ensure positive social footprints. Customers are demanding for that. The government is demanding for that. Positive social footprints through minimization of, for instance, see here, pollution. Minimization of pollution and carbon footprints. Because all these carbon emission, they endanger the lives of the society. So the environmental factors comprises of factors that include ecological and environmental aspects of the business environment, such as the weather condition, the climatic condition, environmental upset that we don't even plan for, like natural disaster. You can see the sudden emergence of COVID-19 in late 2020 from Wuhan in China. It caused a loss of lives. So, and the climatic change too can bring a lot of crisis. Some result into flood. Some, some cause a lot of accidents. In the airline, for instance, particularly now that
You don't need them again.
please, mute, please.
I see I'm at the fine, you know.
Please, can you please mute? So the environmental factors are major factors that the company should not play with, not only companies, including the governments. And all these environmental factors come with a lot of hazard at times. Excessive rain, we have seen some incidents whereby excessive rainfall leads to flood. Look at what happened in the northern part of the country some couple of months ago. And because of these environmental factors, the companies must put in place strategic policy. The company must put in place risk management. There should be risk identification, risk management, and we must determine our risk appetite, the limit of risk that we can take on some nature of business that require environmental sustainability law. And under these environmental factors, it is important for companies to ensure that they comply with environmental regulatory policy of the government and other regulatory agency. And part of the responsibility of the company under environmental factors here is for us to be socially responsible by contributing significantly and immensely towards environmental sustainability. So in the first step, we have L. That L stands for legal factors. Legal factors. What are the legal factors? The legal factors comprises of the law of contracts, the law of unfair selling practices, that is ethical laws, health and safety legislation. And in that law of contracts, you must ensure that we understand each statement or element under the law of contracts, because ignorance is not an excuse under law. And that's the reason why every decisions, individual business enterprise, small and medium scale enterprise, emerging companies, conglomerate and multinational companies takes, they consult their legal units. If they don't have legal unit within the company, they seek for the contract of service from legal practitioners to explain the legal implication of what the contract they want to enter into, so that they won't fall into victim of litigations. So part of the legal forces is employment law. The employment law says that you must not employ infants. If you do that, if you are caught, then it will attract litigations. This will cause substantial financial losses, and it can even dent the image of the company and attract sanctions. Even under the law of contracts too, we are informed under the law of contracts, under capacity, that companies do not have the capacity to employ infants. They don't have the intellectual capacity to enter into contract of agreement or employment when they are infants. So all these laws, we must understand them and we must abide with them. Total compliance. Apart from the employment law, we have the legislation on competitive behavior. We must not engage in activities that will damage the reputation of our competitors, all because we want to ruin them or snatch their customers. We must not engage in an unethical competitive behavior or any form of the marketing. And at the same time, we must not engage in any activities that will damage the reputation of the company or attract litigation or sanctions, like importation of a banned product, or something like engaging in ultra buyer businesses that we not registered for. So under the legislation law, there must be fair competition. We must compete fairly. So environmental legislation, we have discussed on that. So we have to ensure that we abide with environmental legislative law, avoid pollution, embrace green manufacturing, and avoid greenwashing. A lot of companies do not abide with this environmental legislation, or they do not carry out corporate social responsibility, but they make a lot of fallacious claims. All these fallacious claims have negative effects if a company is caught. So the legal factors equally require understanding and compliance with CBN regulations, BOFIA Act. The BOFIA Act means the Bank and Other Financial Institution Act, agency laws. All these things we must abide with them. So what are the ecological influences? The ecological influences are very important. They are very important basically for strategic planning and decision making. And in our ecological influences, in our advanced economy, they don't limit themselves to only avoidance of environmental pollution. They carry out more research in this area to know the number of birth rate, death rate, the population size and density, migration and immigration, climatic conditions. So all these things fall under this place. And it's a very delicate area in that there are a lot of laws guiding the activities of a corporate entity under the environmental or ecological influences. And we have to ensure that any decision we are taking, so far it relates to ecological aspects of the external business environment, we must know what the law says. Because without knowing what the law says, we can fall victim of circumstance. Government can sanction us, the society can sue us, other investors can sue us. So the ecological influences have to be determined. So all other things that we have here, they are just under the ecological influences that we have discussed. So we move into analysis of external business environment. What are the tools that we can use to analyze the external business environment? Please note, in analyzing the external business environment, some of the tools that we can use are: one, DOI. DOI. That DOI means deliberate opportunity identification. DOI, deliberate opportunity identification. If I may tell you, that's the strengths and the secrets of the light of all the serial entrepreneurs that we have: Bua, Dangote, the likes of Femi Otedola, and all these multinational companies. They invest heavily in the search for profitable business opportunity and areas of diversification. In fact, a lot of individuals that have proficiency in writing business proposal, they sell a lot of proposal for them, which they buy at huge amount of money that runs millions. They test run this thing, all this business opportunity. Some are invested in immediately. Some, the pencil is down, that at the appropriate time, they can exploit this opportunity. So opportunity abounds in the business environment. It now depends on the ability of an organization, an entrepreneur, to identify what are these opportunities. What can we do to exploit this opportunity? Let me give you one scenario. Under deliberate opportunity identification, there are some companies that became millionaires overnight There are some individuals that became millionaires overnight due to this deliberate opportunity. It can come as a result of natural disaster. The opportunity can come as a result of government policy. It can come as a result of discovery of new technology or resources. Even in Nigeria, about 4 months ago, you and I knew that the economy was not friendly. The economy was so harsh and intense that the rich also cry. The money did not have value. The government too is running up and down. So the approach that the government used that time is an opportunity for some people, because the government now pronounced that to create melody of relief to the masses, that they want to stop collection of import duties on some basic food materials. That's an opportunity. So many people that are not in that line of business quickly registered a new business name, and start importation of basic food items because they are tax free. So we must have that mind, strategic thinking, and investment to know where opportunity lies in the business environment. Another thing that we can use is what we call quest analysis, quick environmental scanning techniques. These environmental scanning techniques, we must know that it's a continuous exercise. It's not something that we do at will or interval. Continuously, we must scan the activities in the business environment. This one will help us to keep abreast of the activities in the market, activities in the industry, competitors' activities, the government policy, the consumer behavior. It is only through constant environmental scanning that we know this. External business analysis can be analyzed too through what we call DEFI method. DEFI method. By that DEFI method, it means that the company can engage the services of the external consultants to analyze the environments where they are operating, so that they can be able to know some threats that they have not factored in and some opportunities. This one can even aid SWOT analysis for the organization. It can aid SWOT analysis that we mentioned. We have discussed on that. Analysis of the strengths, opportunity, aspiration, and result of the company. Because the external consultants, we are going to pay them, so they are going to do justice and come up with a lot of strategic options that the company can embark on. So another thing that we can do is to specifically analyze opportunity and threats in the business environment. The reason why we must focus on these two, O and T, is that it is only opportunity and threats that fall under external business environment. Because S and W, strengths and weaknesses, that are internal challenges. Our priority here must be to focus on what are the opportunities and threats that the company is facing. What can we do to identify and utilize the opportunity? What can we do to minimize, adapt, or overcome all the threats or challenges that we have? Also, we can do strategic surveillance. Strategic surveillance. Monitoring of all activities within and around our business environment without neglect of any element. So once a company can be able to do this, then we can be able to cope. Yeah. We can be able to cope with our external business environment. So let's look at the second topic. Is there any question before we proceed to Porter Diamond Stop?
Yes, sir. Sir, please, can you help me still re-explain that DeFi method again?
DeFi method. Anywhere you see DeFi method, sir, DeFi method means investment in the analysis of the business environment by engaging the services of external consultants. The external consultant that I mentioned might be a private research institute. It can be a government institute. Is that understood? So we are engaging them for their own expert opinions and contributions.
Okay.
So yes, they are going to assist us like this one now. Our number one, deliberate opportunity identification and environmental scanning. We can tell them to do it. And if there is any business that we want to invest in, and we are looking at the gray areas, or we are doubting it, the sustainability of it, they can do the analysis for us. So we have a lot of external consultants like that within and outside the country that can do it. Even in the area of accounting, it's not all companies that are into forensic auditing. So if our company is deficient in that area, or we have carried it out internally, we are not convinced or we want to be double sure, we can use the DeFi method. We outsource it to another consultant to do that forensic audit for us. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Hello, sir.
I'm with you, sir.
Sir. I just want to the DeFi method. Can
Yes,
we
sir.
just summarize it to be an outsourcing of our operation to external based on your analysis?
Yes. Contract or service outsourcing. Even at times, some companies internally can develop questionnaire so that the external consultant will not go outside the scope of what we want them to do. You are right, sir. So,
Okay, sir.
another beautiful topic that is value adding. Okay, you have a question, please.
Okay, sir. It's about the material. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Hello?
you.
Okay, it's about the material,
I'm with
please.
you.
It's not in the SFM material
Okay,
that we have.
Okay, I'm going to drop the material. And all these ones too, they will compile it with the ones that you have. Be 100% sure of that.
Okay, sir. Please, we need it so that we can make notes.
Okay, I will do that, sir. Okay,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
So can we proceed and look at our Potter's Diamond story? Because in this Potter's Diamond story, it's not for exam alone. Even the business environment, and all the topics. And when you look at the Potter's Diamond story, you will see the missing link where Nigeria is still called Nigeria. So I need your permission to proceed.
Let's proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now we are looking at the Potter's Diamonds model or theory. This Potter's Diamonds model or theory is also popularly called national competitive theory. In fact, originally, that was the name Michael Porter gave this theory or model. He called it national competitive theory. Why? Because he used this theory to provide solution to the unending debate, arguments, and crisis among nations and scholars across the globe. Because the question is, how come some companies, they are operating within their local markets, domestic markets? The companies are doing relatively very well. They have competitive advantage. They fall within market leader or market challengers. Surprisingly, this company, they engage in international marketing, maybe via exporting of their product and the rest. The company are still doing remarkably well. In fact, they surpass the expectation of many people, and some of the existing companies they met in the market, they are performing more than them. Some are even thinking that maybe they are using juju, that we have not seen this kind of thing. So to put a solution to that on any debate and to educate you and I and other companies, Michael Porter now says that these people are not doing magic. That what gives them that national competitive advantage in both local and international markets is because they are able to factor in 4 factors. That 4 factors, if well implemented by your company, my own company, by Nigeria, another country, we are going to better off and gain competitive advantage. So the theory, if you see it as Porter's Diamond's theory, you are right. If you read literature or in exam, they say discuss on the Porter's national competitive theory. They are still referring to Porter's Diamond's theory. And the theory too, me, I like calling it interlocking strategy or theory. Why did I call it interlocking theory or strategy? Because it comprises of 4 main strategies that if companies use them, if you integrate them, you will gain landmark competitive advantage and success, be it in the domestic market or global market. So according to Michael Porter, Porter argued that any company's ability to compete in the international market is based mainly on interrelated set of location advantage that certain industry in different nation possesses. So what is the interpretation of that? It means geographically across national boundaries, some companies have some resources that others do not have. Some that have the resources, just like Nigeria, they are suffering from resources costs. And that is the paradox. Some do not have, some have in abundance, but they cannot effectively utilize it to expand their economy and betterness of the citizen. So the national competitive theory comprises of 4 interrelated forces that, if well implemented and integrated, will give you, companies, countries, competitive advantage over others that do not have it, or over others that have it and they don't know how to use it. So the 4 factors in the Porter's Diamond theories that give company domestic and international advantage are: 1, firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. And if in the course of writing, you put it firm structure, strategy, and rivalry, it's still the same thing. Though there was a debate sometimes, I don't want to go into that which one comes first? Is it structure before strategy or strategy before structure? That's not the discussion here. So the first element in the Porter's Diamond theory is firm strategy, structure, and rivalry, followed by factor conditions. Some literatures will put it factors conditioning. They will put ing. It's the same thing. I mean, it's a continuous thing. So the third one is demand conditions, while the last one is support from related industry. So the 4 elements of forces in the Porter's Diamond national competitive forces are firm strategy, structure, and rivalry. That is 1. 2, factor conditions. 3, demand conditions. 4, support from related industries. When all these 4 are used, my brother and sister, in fact, the sky is the beginning and not the limit. So let's proceed and look at all these factors one by one. So in this paragraph, we have that if these conditions are favorable, that means firm strategy, structure and rivalry, demand factor, factor condition, and support from related industry. If they are favorable, it forces domestic company to continuously what? Innovate and upgrade their operational efficiency. And If you use the forces very well, favorable, the competitiveness that will result from this is helpful and even necessary when going internationally. So the Potter's Diamond forces that we talked about, this is the consensual diagram. You will draw them and link the diagram together just to show that they are integrated forces, to show that they are interlocking forces. You just draw them the way it suits you and link the arrow. Let the arrow link all of them together. But the question you should ask me, which I will not wait for you to ask, is that, sir, the Potter's Diamond model says that we have 4 model of forces that give competitive advantage in local and international. How come we are seeing in this diagram government and chance? Yes, in the course of explanation and in practice across the globe, we discover that some companies or nations, they gain competitive advantage through the support of the government. Some gain the competitive advantage by chance. That means by some incidents that occur. It might be favorable incidents, it might be unfavorable natural disaster. It gives some opportunities. So that means another source of competitive advantage is via the government and by some uncertainties, unexpected issues that occur. Let's now explain them. Firm strategy, structure, and rivalry is the first element in the Potter's Diamond theory. So, Potter says that the national context in which company operates largely determine how companies are created, organized, and managed. He said the nature of the country, the complexity of the country, the government's ideology, economic regulation, and governance in where companies operate determine how the company is being formed, organized, managed, structured. And the complexity of the nation where we are doing our business affect what? Our strategy and how they are structured themselves. Is that understood? So for you now to understand more about this, let me help you. What the scholar is saying under firm strategy, structure, and rivalry is that, one, the complexity of the business industry, competitors, and particularly the government where we are doing our business determine to the large extent our structure, the strategy we are going to formulate, and the degree of rivalry. So to this scholar, I'm bringing it down to the context of operational business activities in Nigerian terrain, and for exam's sake, how are you going to go about this for you to have enhanced mark? What we are going to do is that any company, that's your answer, any company or a nation, because this theory is not only peculiar to company, it's concerning countries too. Any company or countries that put in place effective hierarchy of control, departmentalization, we have various departments and units. And at the same time, part of our structure, we have conflict resolution structure in place. So any company or a nation that have effective and functional structure, and at the same time, they formulate strategy, they evaluate the strategy, they implement the strategy, And periodically, they assess their strategic implementation for them to know the areas of challenges, areas of derailment. Added to that, the company put in place strategic control and follow-up. Such companies are bound to perform and succeed, irrespective of be they operate in the domestic or international market. Coupled with that, any company that engage in constant competition analysis and monitoring, that's the reason why you see that rivalry. Constant competition analysis and monitoring, such company are bound to succeed. And the very reason why you are seeing that across the globe now, America is trying to subdue or submerge the global market dominance of the likes of China, Japan, and the rest, because they have become a forces to reckon with in the global market. So they see them as a threat. You can see there was a time, not quite now, they banned the sale of their phone. That's why. That is after Samsung, that's the largest phone that people buy across the globe. Because of the investment of these Asian people, and because they have revolutionized their economy and technology, they become a forces to reckon with in the global market. So in the domestic market too, you must ensure there is a constant monitoring of your competitors' activities, their product performance, new product development, their mode of operation, the strategy they are using, the market share of their products, all the investments that we have that are related, the same market that we are operating, we have to ensure we look at their activities. So any company that put in place effective and functional structure, they put in place good strategy, and they ensure continuous monitoring of their rival competitors, that company perform very well in both domestic and international markets. And these are the things that you see that most of these multinational companies are doing. And the reason why they recruit experts with cognate years of experience that can lubricate and drive the company so that the company can be able to sustain their performance, achieve future expansion. Apart from that, we have the factor condition, the second element in the diamond story. Factor condition refers to the natural capital and human resources available. For example, they are gifted in natural resources like oil. Okay, thank you. So we are in number 2. What is it, sir? So we are in number 2. That number 2 is factor condition. So, and I say, let me simplify you.
We are listening.
I didn't get you. So the factor condition in number 2 says that the reason why companies perform excellently and competitively in the domestic and international market is because of the availability of some basic factors. Those basic factors, they are needed for organization to have access to needed raw materials, access to manpower, access to technology, access to finance, and many more. Porter emphasized and clarified here that some nations have some factor conditions That is resources, natural resources in abundance, while some have it minimally, and some they have deficiency in most of these resources that we are talking about. So the man was now saying that for a nation or company to perform very well in the domestic and international market, that company must have the ability to effectively utilize the available limited resources. So that factor that you are seeing here, this factor condition, the factor is more or less the meaning of factor of production that we are told in that elementary when we are in secondary and primary school. Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial, money. That is exactly what we are seeing. But when the scholar proceeds further, he was able to inform us that under this factor condition, please put it down. He said there are basically two main factor conditions. There are basically two main factor conditions. You have written that? There are basically two main factor conditions. We have one, basic factor. Basic factor. BASIC. Two, advanced factor. So the two factor conditions that we have is basic factor and advanced factor. He said any company or a nation that have one or the combination of the two and they are effectively utilized, you are bound to perform very well in the local and global market. The basic factor refers to all the natural resources that God gives us freely. Those are the basic factor. Land, labor, capital, water, air, soil. All these leaves, tree, they are basic factors. Ability to utilize them now depends on the company, the nation, and investors. For instance, let me tell you that under the basic factors, land, labor, capital, soil, and the rest. Let's pick soil. Across the globe, the country that is most blessed in terms of soil as a natural resources is France. They have different types of soil with different colors. And all this soil, they support the growth of fruits that you not see in other parts of the world. That is God for you. All the soil support the growth of different kind of fruits. That if you bring those fruits here in Nigeria, plant it, it will not grow. And what is the comparative advantage that they use? The country now decided to be planting large number of different types of fruits. They will harvest it, extract it, and turn it to wine. That's the reason why till tomorrow, France is the leading and number one country in terms of wine production. Nobody near them. So many companies too. They have area of relative advantage over others. Nigeria in the past, we have it. We are one of the major exporters of cocoa, fertilizer, gold, and what have you. We have it today. All these basic factors are not effectively utilized. The few ones that we have that are being sold locally or exported is to enrich the pockets of some calibers of people. And that is the missing link. And that's the reason why Nigeria is still a developing nation. We are not an industrialized nation. Even despite the fact that we join the likes of BRICS and the rest. We are not an industrialized nation. The second one that we call advanced factor. The advanced factor means further investment of companies, individuals, and a nation on all these natural resources to better their product development, service delivery, market dominance, and many more. So Porter is now saying that if you have the basic factor, you use it very well, and the company now go to the extent of investing more on all these basic factor, he called that one advanced factor. What are the examples of advanced factor? A, human capital development. That is investing in staff training, staff development, capacity development. You identify the knowledge gap, the area of deficiency of your staff, they are trained in that area. You are doing favor for the company because it will improve the efficiency and productivity of that your staff, and which will give you landmark advantage. Investment in technology is an advanced factor. Investment in technology, that's another example, apart from investment in the staff. Investment in innovation is an advanced factor. The purchase of innovative equipment is an advanced factor. Investment in research and development, development of new products or differentiated products, all these things are advanced factors. And to give you advantage over others. So any company that effectively utilize their factor condition, that is the advanced factors and the basic factors, they perform excellently in both local and international arena. The third one, we have demand conditions. Demand condition. Let's look about one line or two in our notes, and I will now tell you the demand condition to simplify. Under the demand condition, we are informed that the home demand largely affects how favorable industries within a certain nations are. A larger market means more challenges, but also creates opportunity to grow and become better as a company. We should know, emphasize and re-emphasize these points that I'm about to mention, that the presence of sophisticated demand conditions from local customers also pushes companies to grow, innovate, and improve quality. That's what we need. So under the demand condition, Michael Porter says that those companies that are doing very well, that we are proud of, we are celebrating, that we are discussing about, majority of them, we can say they are fortunate, but we congratulate them. They are fortunate in that what gives them that advantage over others as a company or a nation is because there is a remarkable and increasing demand for their products, particularly from where he mentioned is there, from the domestic market. It was that domestic market that he mentioned as home demand. The man says that I didn't mean the company produce quality products, innovative products, and yet customers are not buying, or they are experiencing fluctuating demand. Such a company wouldn't have the opportunity to grow, not to talk of having competitive advantage. So furthermore, if a company is experiencing increasing patronage from the customers, and all the proceeds, the revenue that we are generating from that customer's patronage as profit, we now invest that money in innovation, in buying latest equipment, improving the product quality, expanding our market. He said that company stand advantage of having more competitive advantage. Under this demand condition, let me inform you, it is the increasing demand and profitability that push or encourage some companies to go into international markets. How? When the demand keeps increasing, the company keep expanding and they keep increasing their output. It will get to a stage that the company will have excess of these products that is more than what the customers can consume locally. It is that excess that will now push them to international markets. Now, okay, all these excess products, can we do a market survey? How we can sell it in Ghana? How we can export this one to South Africa? How we can export to Asia? So when you sustain your increasing demand and you ensure that all your customers, day in, day out, they don't have regrets for their patronage, your product is meeting their expectations and creates favorable satisfaction that we call consonance, such company will still continue to enjoy increasing patronage. So the profit come there, we use it to expand and ensure that by the time we expand and move to international markets, we adapt and standardize our product to the demand in the international market. Once we can be able to do that, the company will continue to enjoy their improved performance and competitive advantage. The fourth one, related and supporting industry, which I said you can just put it as support from related companies or you just put it as support from related industries. Related and support from industry. Michael Porter said under this that the reason why some companies and nations gain competitive advantage is because they are gaining valuable support, unending support from individuals, from related industries, some from parent companies, from NGOs, including the government. Look at the likes of Boa and Dangote, for instance. The reason why Dangote have advantage over others, I give it to him as a serial entrepreneur, a risk bearer. But he enjoys some level of support and monopoly that other companies do not have opportunity. So Porter said, any individual investors, companies, or a nation that have this kind of support, they perform very well, both in the local and international domain. That's what we need. So the emergence of government in our definition, government that we mentioned, we put it there because of what? The role of the government in a Porter's Diamonds model is described as both a catalyst and challenger. Can you see that government is very essential anytime we are discussing about Porter's Diamonds theory? I just mentioned now that they give the light of Dangote, Boa, and the rest competitive advantage over others through monopolistic and access to some rare basic resources that others do not have, through some license and empowerment. So the role of the government, I take it again, the role of the government in Porter's Diamonds model is described as both a catalyst and challengers. Why? Porter doesn't believe in a free market where the government leaves everything in the economy up to the invisible hands. Because there are some basic things that it is expected for government to do. Like this license given to Dangote. In other countries, you can't see it. They will never allow it. Because these are the things that the government have to manage. Electricity supply for those people that have oil refinery, security, they should be in the hands of the government. Because you will not just create undue advantage for some or give some people economic power to regulate the country. So that's the fact that government needs to encourage companies to nurse and achieve their aspirations and improve on their level of competitiveness. Yes, there should be some level of control over which of the economic power individuals should control. So part of the duty of the government is to make provision for infrastructural facilities, improve the educational sector, health sector, enforce law so that all these companies, they will know their limits, they will know the regulations. So in the area of health sectors, in the areas of fair competition, regulation of business activities, in the areas of environmental sustainability law, provision of infrastructural facilities, these are the things that the government are expected to do. And if the government can do this, then peradventure, it will help some companies to achieve their dreams. It will help the companies to achieve their goals. It will even help the companies to meet the demands of their customers, meet the expectations of their shareholders, and generate revenue to the government. But part of the reason why some companies are not gaining this competitive advantage locally that we are seeing is because of infrastructural decays. It's because of all these bad roads, electric power supply, insecurity in the country. So if the government can be able to make all these things available and they make a business-friendly policy, then our local firm too, they can be able to gain competitive advantage. So what is that meaning of chance? Chance. You can see that I put it here that even though Potter originally didn't write anything about chance or luck in his paper, the role of chance is often included in the Diamond's model as what? As the likelihood that external events such as war, natural disaster can negatively affect or benefit a country or industry. And that is where we are going. During the COVID-19, there was natural disaster across the globe. It claimed lives of many innocent people. And at the same time, some were effectively utilized, some are not effectively utilized, both at the federal, local, and the state level. The light of Elon Musk was able to accumulate more wealth. The light of 7-Up used DOI, deliberate opportunity identification, to produce hand sanitizer and many more and make a lot of money. Even a lot of people that are not entrepreneur, at that time, they engage in the sale of face masks, local hand sanitizer, Dettol, all this Abba soap, Abba drink, and they make a lot of money. So chance is also an avenue for individual, corporate organizations, local and international company to gain competitive advantage and breakthrough. And usually bring about scientific breakthrough. You can see the light war. Sorry about that word light, because I use the word light war because it goes for 12 days between Israel and Iran. You can see it claims a lot of life, but it generates a lot of opportunities and a lot of scientific discovery. Because there are some equipments there that even the likes of America did not know that Iran can have such equipments. Even there are drones, there are powerful drones that is difficult to stop. So some chance occur that give you an opportunity. Even at times, the chance might be that, for instance, the government just pronounce tax relief or rebate for some sector of the economy, or you have access by chance to a destiny helper or destiny partner that link you or your company to BOI, Bank of Industry, and you have access to loan. This will bring expansion. It will serve as a capital outlay, cash flow, to nurture your business and achieve your goals if well implemented. So chance is another thing that give a country and give companies and individual opportunity to have a spontaneous increase in the performance of their business and to give them competitive advantage if well utilized. Because some they lost a focus. I've told you that is a strategic derail. They lost focus. That was what happened to the likes of 18 Salat. 18 Salat have that chance. They misuse it. Where is the company today? They sold it, another person have acquired it, and it was renamed Nine Mobile. Just was it yesterday or 2 days now? Multi-choice, where are they today? Multi-choice have been acquired by another company, Canal France. So that's the reason why we have to ensure that we want to remain in business. All these theories and policies are very, very essential. Even in the case study exam, all this model we are still going to discuss in the case study because you are going to need it in giving expert opinion, advice to company that we have in the case scenario. So I can say all this model that we are treating, we have to revisit them and know the model, and now we can apply it and use it to give strategic judgment. So we want to look at the criticism of Porter Diamond's theory. Criticism of Porter Diamond's theory. Please, Mr. Ahmed Sharif, please almost yourself. Bless you. I love that. So what are the criticisms of Porter Diamond's theory? Criticism of Porter Diamond's theory. Have you seen the slide?
Yes,
sir.
it went off again.
Okay. So one of the criticism of Porter Diamond's theory is that there's a scholar that says that the theory is not applicable in developing countries. I say, why? I laugh. Well, that is his own contribution. That might be his own perception. And it is possible the scholar might have what we call depth of knowledge in literatures or happenings in developing countries, but has not visited developing countries or has not read sufficient literatures.
Sir,
Or is
the material is not visible again, sir.
the material is not feasible. Okay,
Yes.
okay, let me reply it. Thank you. Can you see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we are looking at the criticism of Diamond's theory. And the first criticism that one scholar see as observation after the review of the Porter Diamond theory is that he said the theory is not applicable in developing countries. And I disagree with it. Because this theory is applicable in developing country, emerging country, and advanced country. So, two, another criticism is that another scholar that it is more applicable in advanced economy and emerging economy, that the theory is more applicable to the likes of France, Britain, Germany, Russia, America, and the rest. And in emerging economy like China, Japan, Pakistan and the rest. He said this theory is more applicable in that countries than in Africa. So another criticism, observation by another author is that the theory does not factor in the influence of foreign multinationals. I was now thinking that why? That in the course of explanation, because I read this theory a lot, place or most place. So I read the theory a lot and I discovered that the theory is discussed about the influence of multinational companies. If I thought the person that says this did not take cognizance of that, look at under the fourth factors of the diamond story, where it says support from related industries. It says some companies are doing very well in the pharmaceutical industry, construction, manufacturing industry, all because they are gaining support from parent companies that might reside in overseas countries. All these multinational companies and the rest. So they give a lot of support to governments, to companies, to individual businessmen, and what have you. Even some NGOs. So it's factor in. So lastly, on the Potter's Diamond story, we are required to know in the syllabus the role of the government in protection of infant industry and economic development. So what are the role of government? So what are we expecting the government to do and to improve upon? Not just to do it. They have to do it, constantly improve upon it, innovate, invest more in it, is the area of stable and constant electricity supply. To some extent now, we give kudos to the government in that the electricity is a little bit fair, though it depends on the geographical location where we are. Because the government now make more money from it now. So all this band A, band B that we are now having now, particularly band A, they have more stable electricity. So when we have stable electricity supply, it brings about economic viability, creates job, industrialize the economy, and even reduce costs of doing business. So another thing the government should do is to reduce tariffs on electricity and but some basic imports, and all some products that are produced locally in Nigeria that are being exported. Government should look at a way of encouraging companies and individuals that are into this so that their operational costs will reduce. Another thing that we are begging government to do and which government needs to improve on is the area of reduction in multiple taxation. You can call it multiple taxation, you can call it double taxation. Up to small and medium scale enterprises, micro enterprises, they pay multiple tax. They will pay for Agbero, they will pay for Oba, they will pay all these local chief, they will pay for local government. They might say they have to take some ticket, state ticket, multiple taxations. It's room business. Again, the government can give tax rebate for importer, exporter, and particularly the infant industry that just started business, so that we can be able to give them opportunity to grow. But when you look at literature indicates that large number of small and medium scale enterprises experience premature death within 5 years of establishment. And what is killing them? What is killing them is capital, tax, exorbitant tax. So they struggle to find the initial capital outlay to start a business, sweat capital. Some, they try through crowdfunding, some through donation from family. They have not stabilized the business. The business have not survived. Out of the capital they want to use to run the business, they are using it to pay tax. So how will the business survive? So the government should encourage exportation as against importation. We should stop being a consuming nation. We should industrialize our economy, invest in technology, and support those companies that produce products locally and export. In the area of security, a lot has to be done because up to now we have not seen improvement across the nation. There is insecurity, there is claiming lives and property. And this menace of insecurity has captured the attention of many governments across the globe. We can see 3 days ago, or was it 4 days ago, that the American president, Donald Trump, says the America should be mindful or stop going to Nigeria because of insecurity. He emphasized insecurity. He mentioned corruptions and some other things. But he was being particular about this insecurity, that their life is not secure. Any investors that read that, they won't come to Nigeria. So the government should give access to loan without stringent collateral and requirements. What I mean here is that some business enterprises, they don't have access to the loan that the government is pronouncing. The minute the government pronounce it, they say they can access it. They don't have access to it. The small and medium scale enterprises, for example, now, all the investors, the deposit money bank did not give them loan. They consider them unbankable because majority of them, they don't have collateral. All their asset is movable assets.
Can I
And
say
some of
something on this loan, sir?
hello, sir.
I said I wanted to say something on this loan problem because where I work for is also a major issue in our area. I don't know. Is there something wrong
Okay.
if, for instance,
Yes, sir.
you are a new business who wants to expand or start up, and you're able to get loan at, let's say, maximum of 5% interest rate per year. Now, sometimes many of these guys will say, okay, we are using monetary policy rates to benchmark the interest rate we will charge. But I don't think there's anything wrong if, aside the monetary policy rate being used, you should use the another rate for lending, not necessarily the MPR rate, to lend to startups
Necessary.
beyond. So imagine somebody you're trying to set up a business and then you're a billionaire, and then bank will tell you, okay, we are charging you 35% for annually. That's a killer interest rate. So I don't think that is
Yes.
sustainable.
It is not sustainable, and the reason why the small and medium scale enterprises and some emerging companies that have the future potential growth die, all because they don't have capital to nurture their business, and as a result of that, they will not be able to compete with all these multinational companies. Well, in Nigeria, we have the influx of foreign goods produced by multinational companies. Our local indigenous company, they don't have the financial muscle or strength to compete with them. And anytime they want to have access to loan, those are the challenges they are facing. And that is what we have said. You are right, it's a killer loan. The principal will be there, the interest will be going.
Because I've seen
Hello, sir.
China,
And you will even this.
having almost negative interest rate on loans. In US, I don't think they've done above 6% in recent years. I don't think so.
In
Per year.
recent years.
So I don't know why. I don't know. For me, loan in Nigeria is a devil's advocate. I won't say more than that.
It is.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, with respect to what my brother is trying to talk as regarding capital, getting through loan,
Yes, sir.
with the intervention of the government, I believe they have a full capacity to empower those people that have an idea and start up the business. But I believe the government is working against the citizen, and they are putting us where we are. because
Where we
consequences
are.
allowances, yes, consequences allowance and what have you. Some people do not need less than 5 million to turn their life around, and they have the
You are right.
capacity to do that, but no proper structure on ground to help us to develop those people that are grassroots. So I believe if
Hmm.
with what we are doing now, yes, we are working towards passing an exam, but I see it as a means of communication whereby each and every one of us will be aware of what is obtainable of the government and how we can influence it. That's just my own
Hmm.
submission. Some people do not need more than 500,000 naira, maybe to do a pop-up by the roadside, and the turnover is very high,
Yes.
but nobody sees
You are
them.
right.
Nobody sees
Nobody.
them. Those people that are in the agriculture sector, there are some people that have access to billions of loans, but they don't have a plot of land for cultivation. So that's just my submission. So who knows who in this platform can use this medium to see how we can start the campaign and ensure that as far as our profession is concerned, we try to influence it. That's all my submission there.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I
That's
don't
a
know if
beautiful contribution.
so okay,
I
I
appreciate.
don't know if I can also contribute, but for my professional colleague that said loans are running at 35% in Nigeria and loans in Nigeria is killing and everything. So that is why we have the microfinance bank. At least I still know of microfinance bank that are still doing between a 20 and 24%, which is
Even
majorly
that is
for
still high.
which
Developing
is
economy.
majorly for sorry?
I say even the 24-25% is still high for developing economy, which we should
Yes,
start seriously
yes,
on that July.
see, yeah, okay, so I'm just trying to make, yeah, that is what we have now. But I'm just trying to let you understand that
Okay, instead of going for 35,
instead of you
you are
going
giving
for
that
the
as
likes of,
alternative. Okay.
you understand, instead of you going for all these
Okay, yes.
conventional training that are doing, and they are doing 35%, 40%, all those things, you have microfinance banks that are still giving loans that 24%. Apart from that, the likes of BOI, the likes of all these federal government intervention funds are coming from all these things, and federal government themselves also they have the interest pegged on it that you can actually disburse those loans. So for all these small businesses, instead of you going for all these Zen banks, you can they can get all these still manageable interest
Okay.
loans from microfinance banks, and it's very very okay. Some even
You
give moratorium for let's say agricultural loans and everything. However, I think
Hmm.
we are lacking
okay.
like a real communication to the citizens, to business people about all these microfinance banks. If you do a sample of 10 10 10 MSME entrepreneurs, the only thing they will tell you, they only know about commercial bank when they are talking about getting loans. They don't know. Maybe one or two just know that okay, there's a microfinance bank that is doing this. So if you know anyone, I'm not saying
Thank you
24%
for
is
that.
okay in Nigerian economy, but if you know anyone that is trying to access loan
Thank
for a
you.
business, genuine loans, I can give you a microfinance bank that
You
is ready
see,
to give at that 24%. Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have all made a vital contribution. I salute your contribution. But the fact still remains that as a business entrepreneur, that you are starting a business newly, when you are going for a loan of 20%, 25%, your risk appetite is high. And exactly what my other colleagues is trying to stress. Do you get it? The primary objective of establishing the microfinance institution is to be able to give all this soft loan with lesser interest and without stricter collateral requirements. You can see when they, on the onset, when they start the business, a lot of people patronize them. But you now discover now that their interest rate too keeps jumping. And apart from that, there is no enabling environment for you to get a loan that you are going to pay 25%, 20% interest rate. While the principal is there, the interest is growing. The business is not doing very well. So if the small and medium scale enterprises, for instance, are into that agricultural that you say, that nature of business is full of a lot of uncertainties. If that money is borrowed to plant cassava, when will the cassava material be mature for harvest, for you to say it's raw or process it into gari? So many factors have to be considered. So the summary, as we all know, is that we are pleading to government to let people have access to this loan. All this government relief or whatever that you are mentioning, how many people have access to it? The target audience, the entrepreneur, the farmers, whatever, they don't have access to it. Many of these things, majority of them will be hijacked by the cabals and the politicians and whatever. There was a time we make effort to access loan from BOI. I know what and what that we face. These are some of the business that we have tried. So we need to beg government to at least let all these microfinance bank bring their interest rate down. Even some that their interest rate is bearable. What of the collateral that we are seeing here? My oga mentioned a woman that is selling bread and akara. What is the collateral? Is it oil? Is it the frying pan that is going to use? The collateral they are going to ask you will be high. You cannot meet some. The interest rate is killing, and at the same time, restricted access to finance. That is the major problem. That money will not get to the hands of those that the money is meant for. And all these deposit money bank that was formerly called commercial banks, they consider all these sectors unbankable. So these are the things that we are pleading to government to see how they can improve on these areas, because the individual small business enterprise that you are seeing, they are the largest employers of labor. They are the lubricant that will the economic viability and development of all nations, even in the advanced economy. So we must support them. Even we and I that we are here, we have access to loan at a reasonable price. We know what and what we can do with it. And the reason why our other tribe, the Igbos, are trying through all this anchor borrowing and what have you. It's not everybody that have access to that. So another thing that the governments have to do is investment in research and development, including innovation and technology. If you read the newspaper and online this thing about 4 or 5 days ago, that the Nigerian government are trying to go in alliance with Malaysia in the supply of red oil, Ekpokpa. I could recall, I look at it, I nearly wept. And the reason being that about 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, that was a research that was carried out by the light of IITA, Mon Plantations, and some other research institutes. They came up with idea of how we can generate palm oil in large scale. I mean in large scale, you can quote me. And they have done their feasibility. This was pushed to the government, which Nigerian government did not adopt. They have to use Tonkin approach to sell this research idea to Malaysia. It is this Malaysian land that want to come and be importing oil from. So many things are wrong in this country, but we pray that God will guide all our leaders. And we too, we are born to be great. So we are born to be great. When we get to all these leadership positions too, we should not be intoxicated with power. We should have a goals that we want to achieve. So we know the suffering of people and the rest. This our economy had to be industrialized. It will make life to be easy. Look at the areas of housing. the exorbitant amount of money that people are paying for rentages and many more. So there are things that is affecting. Like Benue State, for instance, now is truly the food basket of the nation. But the government is not assisting all the farmers. Majority of their harvest wasted because they can't conserve it. First Bank tried some years back, not quite long, to invest in that area. But that their progress, the sitting governor, then the wife wants to hijack it as a first lady, which First Bank declined, and they back off. So all these areas, if we can be able to do it, then our country too will now go back to that area where we have comparative advantage over other countries or nation. And locally, all our infant industry too, they'll be doing very well. All the cocoa that we have, the crude oil is not effectively utilized. Our crude oil, we now take it outside too to go and refine. When they refine it, we have to use money to import it again. Many things are wrong. So may God help this country. So this is where we are going to stop today. I really appreciate your commitment and effort. I wish you the very best of luck.
Hello,
So
sir.
you enjoy the rest of. I'm with you, sir.
Sir, I just want to see that this pesticide analysis and diamond. One, is there any, from my own observation, it appears that if pesticide analysis is not well established in a particular region or a country, I don't think the
Yes, sir.
diamond portal will be effective.
Okay, the portal will not be effective.
With that, portal will not be effective because
And that's the reason why we have to salute ICAN. Because portal diamond story is a topic on its own. You do get it? But ICAN says
I'm with
that
you, sir.
portal diamond story have a lot of significant effects with business environments. And that's the reason why they combine these together. Is that understood?
Yes,
You
sir.
make a very good, it's a valid point, sir. Hello, you want to say something?
Yeah, but just because I believe this is for a class, for exam, but I see it beyond the class work. If all the participants, including the lecturer, can see how we can harness the opportunity there, though it will not be easy. But how we can harness it, maybe at our individual offices, we can see how we can contribute our own quotas as far as the Nigerian economy is concerned. Because
It's
if you
concerned.
leave it this,
Okay.
because if you leave it this way, I'm sorry. All of us, yes, we have thousands of ICAN, qualified chartered
Yes.
accountants. Yes,
Yes, you are right.
we are not productive. We are not productive. So what's the essence of the
Yes.
certificate? I'm sorry for what's the essence of certificate? During the no cash, we see how this market woman being innovative go and register with those microfinance banks and they are doing their business. So which means Nigerians are innovative, but they just need a champion. You just need somebody to guide us. So I'm just using this medium to see how we can think beyond an exam passing ICAN and see how we can contribute to Nigerian economy. So just
Bless
by
you.
submission, sir.
That is a good idea. And for you to know, just yesterday, what's it called? Japan. They announced another research breakthrough of artificial blood that can go with all types of blood, maybe O positive, O whatever. Look at United
That's
States
sweet.
look at Dubai, Germany. Germany, they have crisis of sun. They only have sun, even rainfall is not common. But scientifically, they have provided solution to all this. So as you say, we are all gifted in all discipline, accounting, engineering, and many more. But we just need an enabling environment to nurture and showcase this talent. and to now make it to have significant positive effect on the economy. So everything boil on the government. If there is necessary support, enabling environment and the rest, you will discover that Nigeria will be a state to reckon with across the globe. So all we need is that the federal government alone cannot do it. The state government is there, the local government is there. All these constituency allowance that you mentioned too should be judiciously utilized. They are collecting millions. So when you use that money for human capital development, technological development, establishment of industry, so all this one will boost the economy. There will be job opportunity, increase in gross domestic product of the nation, and that is time we can be able to find the areas where we have comparative advantage and core competency over other nations. So God will help us. God will help us. We meet our next class by the special grace of God. So a big thank you to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Sir, please
So
drop
bye
the
for now. Or is there
material.
any other question?
Sir, please drop the material for us, please.
Oh, no, I will do that.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. With you.
Okay, sir. Please remember to drop the study material.
I will. Even the material for today now, I will drop it immediately now.
All right. Thank you.
Proud of you all. Bye. Mr. Hussein, do you want to say something?
Not yet,
Mr.
sir.
Hussein,
I met it.
Okay, no.
People halfway, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bye. Proud of you.
Thank you very much, sir.